We've now come to the end of the section of using HTML pages as examples of the principles of making a request to an LLM, of adding additional information in terms of RAG. We saw tool calling and we saw memory. And originally, I said to you early on that actually this is the core of the whole course. If one understands how these principles work, everything else is just sort of software engineering around an API call to an LLM. And it's this image. We have our traditional coding, our traditional WordPress development, but sometimes we want to get something back from an LLM, a model. So we send a request, we get a response, we carry on doing whatever it is we want to do. And if we need to make another request, we go backwards and forwards. But the actual core of it is in this one file here. And I said that out of this whole section, this is the key file because this is the API request. And let's summarize the core aspects of this. Firstly, there's just one endpoint. Normally, when we have REST APIs, we have different endpoints and we have pen, parameters, etc. And it goes to a different endpoint depending on what we want. This is not the case with AI agents. There's one endpoint, which is the chat completions. What we do is we send our code, in a sense, what would normally be our REST code on the back end, as client side and in natural language and in English. And we saw that with the system prompt. And when we've seen further system prompts where we had tool calling or we had RAG or memory, but basically that is our code now. It's almost like natural language gets compiled into sort of PHP in WordPress, and PHP gets compiled back down through to C into machine code. This is just almost like a compiler. And people often talk about AI coding as it's like it's a compiler, but it's translating our natural language into code, which then gets compiled again down into machine code. So as we see, we have one endpoint, we send a payload, which is model, all the sort of information that we want. The system prompt basically has our kind of code. We get an AI assistant message that comes back. We saw that in memory. And effectively what happens, we just send up messages, which is all the kind of code and the data or information or context that is needed so that the model can answer it. With that, it's just many different ways of doing it to create different AI apps. So in summary, this one file, understanding AI agent as an API, when I understood that and it clicked, then it all became a lot easier to understand. But up until that point, it did seem a little bit mysterious. And it still is mysterious because we don't know what goes on here. But at least the overall process was clearer to me, and I hope that helps. And what we're going to be doing in the next sections is start going through the plugins, but they will all use, as you can see, static RAG, dynamic RAG, tool calls, tool use. They're all really using the same principles that are in here, but it was easier to use it in the HTML pages because it just showed actually how simple and basic an agent actually is. It's an API request. It's to demystify and simplify these AI agents. And I hope that's become clear through